Guys, I just got back from a 1,300-mile road trip taking me from the St. Louis area to Jasper, Arkansas. Guys, my name is Rick and this is the HDVIBE channel. In today's video, what I'm going to do is tell you about my experience with this Saddlemen Road Sofa that I just recently received from Saddlemen and put on the 2021 Road Glide Special for this 1,300-mile trip. And we'll get into all that right after this. That's right, guys. I just got back from a 1,300-mile road trip taking me from the St. Louis area to Jasper, Arkansas, where in that part of Arkansas, northwest Arkansas, there are some of the most awesome and technical roads to ride. We actually rode out there for 3 days. So if you ever have a chance, I would highly suggest get out to the Jasper, Arkansas area and check out all of the great roads you can ride out there. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're actually here to talk about this Saddlemen Road Sofa that I decided to ride with, and it was a last-minute change. And I want to tell you a little bit about this road sofa, tell you a little bit about some of the riding conditions with which we rode over that 1,300 miles, and give you my thoughts and in terms of comfort and how this thing stood up to some of the elements that we faced on this trip. And honestly, I haven't even cleaned the bike yet. It's still a mess. It's 4th of July weekend when I'm recording this, and I'm hoping to be able to spend some time in getting some of this road grime, mud, muck, dust, and all the like off this bike as soon as possible. The road sofa, I just received this from Saddlemen probably a couple of months ago, and I haven't really had a chance to ride with it. Now, I've had road sofas in the past, but this is their new stitch pattern. It has the carbon fiber in through the middle, but it also has that honeycomb stitch pattern, which looks really, really cool. And if you're not familiar with Saddlemen seats, this road sofa is kind of their ultimate touring seat. So it has gel in through the rider area. It also has gel in through the passenger pillion, and it's a combination of what they call GELcore Technology and their really high density foam. So if you're not used to riding on a Saddlemen seat and you've only ridden on stock Harley Davidson seats, there's going to be a huge difference. You're going to think, oh my gosh, this thing feels really firm. But honestly, again, I threw this thing on and I rode with this, no break-in period. And spoiler alert, it was really, really comfortable, but I'm still going to tell you a little bit more about it and some of the conditions so that you get a better feel for that. The other thing that's nice about this road sofa over some of the other Saddlemen seats that I got, it does give you a little bit wider area in through the hip area. And one of the things that always bothers me, especially on sitting on the bike long term with a stock seat, is I get tailbone problems, and I had that a few years ago before I switched to Saddlemen seats, and now Saddlemen is the only seat that I'll run with, and it's primarily for a couple of reasons. One, the GELcore Technology, which reduces vibration when you're out on the road. Saddlemen states about 92% of that vibration from the engine as well as the road is absorbed through that gel technology that's in that seat. And then secondarily on this road sofa, it's kind of a split design here from the lumbar as well as the seated area. So that relieves that pressure off of that tailbone so that you don't get that pain. The other thing is this lumbar is pretty high. This version that I got, you can actually put the rider backrest in here. And again, on these Saddlemen seats, that's all built into the seat, so there's nothing you need to bolt onto the seat. I did not ride with that backrest, and primarily because I had the Saddlemen BR4200 sissy bar luggage sitting back here on the pillion and strapped onto my sissy bar. And so that on the highway, when we were going from St. Louis to Arkansas, acted as my backrest. And when we were riding in the Arkansas area, this lumbar here support was more than enough for riding those types of roads. I think I mentioned there's gel in here. Obviously my BR42 bag, sissy bar bag, didn't need GELcore Technology, but what I will tell you, it did put some indents in here because it is wheeled luggage. Put some indents right here and right here, but those popped out, which shows me how that GELcore Technology works. It sort of forms to your body, and then when you get off, it kind of comes back to its natural state, so it's not breaking down over time. As I said, we were riding on highways. We rode in hot weather. We rode in cool weather. We rode in twisty back roads. we rode off-road, we rode on some uneven off-road situations, and even coming into our Airbnb, there was no concrete, so it was sort of a rutted road. So I'll tell you why this seat worked well for that as well. And we rode in the rain. We got deluged one day, and we got a little bit lighter rain coming on the way back home. So this thing performed well in all those conditions. But back to those uneven roads. One of the things that people often have an issue with, especially if they're a little shorter inseam. Now I'm about a 32 inseam. I had my Indy Ridge boots on, riding shoes, so not much heel. So I might be 33 with those on. Is that these Saddlemen seats are really narrow into the bike. So what that does is allow you to get your feet closer into the bike and get them down on the ground that much easier, especially if you're a little inseam challenged or a little bit shorter inseam. Speaking of, I mentioned the rain, and we really got drenched. I mean, to the point where we even had rain gear on and we were getting wet through the rain gear. My riding shoes were soaked. I literally stopped at a restaurant. I had to squeeze out my socks, pour out the boots, and let them dry in front of a fan. We got that wet. However, the seat stayed dry. It did not soak up any water in that rain, and I had no issues with that. The only thing I did do is when we pulled over at one point to get gas, as the rain was letting up, I did go ahead and put a cover on it just so when I sat back down on it, I wouldn't get wet, but it wasn't squishing, it wasn't soaking up that water. And again, this is the carbon fiber, and then it's sort of a honeycomb stitch, so it wasn't soaking up any of that water. And honestly, this seat did not actually even come with a cover when they sent it to me. So I'm assuming they know it's already waterproofed to an extent, but the amount of rain that we got hit with was incredible, and no soaking up of any of that rain and water into the seat. The other roads that we tended to ride once we got to Arkansas were very technical, twisty, and winding roads. And this seat actually works really well for that. That was one of the things I was not concerned about, but I wanted maybe a little bit narrower seat with the higher lumbar. And I had actually considered taking my Tour step up or one of my step up seats, but like I said, last minute I decided to go with this road sofa because I haven't really ridden a road sofa for long distances. And again, it was a combination of sitting hours in the seat. I still felt comfortable. It was riding twisty back roads, hairpin turns with this seat, and I felt very comfortable and planted in the seat. And also off-road. We rode on some gravel roads, and as I said, going into our Airbnb, there's a rutted path to get up to the house, so we had to navigate that. We had to make some U-turns out on the road, and so in all of those conditions, I felt very, very comfortable with this seat. After having ridden 1,300 miles, all types of weather conditions, cool temperatures, hot temperatures, sunshine, overcast, rain, downpours, overall, this seat was super comfortable. At no point did I ever feel as though I was fatigued or tired. I didn't have any pain in my tailbone. And overall, it was a very, very comfortable ride. We would probably spend, when we're going to and from a tank full of gas, 200 plus miles without stopping, and I was comfortable the whole time. And as I said, even with that luggage on there, that did not impede or change any of the comfort level with that. And actually, as I said, I use that as my backrest when we're going down the highway. I tend to try to stretch out by putting my feet on my rear passenger pegs, which a lot of people don't do, but I find if I stretch my legs, this part of my legs back, I get some relief in the legs instead of having them just sort of out in front of me the entire time. I don't have highway pegs on this bike because of the driving lights that I have down on the crash bar. So that's the way I rode. And what I found, again, with that seat being close in here, I could actually put my feet back up and get me comfortable in that riding position when I was going down the road. It probably will sit you up just a little bit higher than a stock seat, and that's primarily because it's firmer. It doesn't smash down as much. And just for reference, I have 13-inch Legend shocks on the back. I have the Axio standard cartridges up in the front on this bike, but for me, I can certainly easily flat foot even with flat shoes on this. And when I was in that off cambered terrain and had to put my foot down, I felt very comfortable because, again, it's narrowing through here. I could get my legs in close to the tank and get my feet comfortably down on the ground. So overall, I would give this, after 1,300 miles, and that was over 4 days of riding, I would give this Saddlemen Road Sofa high marks and a thumbs up, and I would highly recommend it. However, don't go and just buy one of these from my recommendation from this video. If you have a Saddlemen dealer at your Harley Davidson dealership, they often have demo seats that you can try out. I know at Gateway Harley Davidson in St. Louis, they have a Saddlemen display. They have a road sofa, some step-ups. I think they have a Dominator. And they have a few others that you can put on your bike, go out and ride, and check it out to see how it feels for you. Again, people say break-in period on Saddlemen seats. None of my Saddlemen seats I've ever said there's a break-in period. I get on this seat. It's very comfortable. It's cushiony. It's not going to be as cushiony as that stock seat. And there's a reason. As I said earlier, the stock seats sort of have that foam that break down over time versus this having that GELcore and that high-density foam combination in there to keep those things firm. And if you think about it, in my particular case, I feel a firmer seat is much more supportive on your hips. You don't get tailbone issues. Your back is supported from the lumbar, or if you put the backrest in there, and it just makes for a more overall comfortable ride. And I will say, when we were out on this ride, I actually had to ride one of my buddy's bikes who has a stock ultra limited seat on it. I sat on that seat. It has about 40,000 miles on it. And I felt like I was just sinking down to the pan of the seat. He doesn't know any different, so for him, it's comfortable. Although I will tell you, he says he has tailbone problems if he sits on that seat for too long. And what I've told him is, it's because of your seat primarily, and it's broken down, and it's not supporting your hips and your back. So guys, if you got some value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also consider sharing this with your friends, so someone who might be interested in learning more about a Saddlemen seat or a road sofa seat can check this out and get some more information about that. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, hit that button right down here. I'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, leave a comment down below saying I subscribe so I can personally reach out and thank you for supporting the channel. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon and select all so you do get notified every time I do put out new content. I have lots of playlists. I have playlists by bike. I have playlists by product, by install, and I also have a playlist on Saddlemen seats. So there's probably about 5 or 6 Saddlemen seat videos that I've done, so you can learn about some of the other Saddlemen seats that I've run in addition to this road sofa. So go check that out. And also leave some comments down below. Have you ridden Saddlemen seats? What's your experience with the Saddlemen seat? Have you ridden with a road sofa? I really like this road sofa. It is a little bit bigger than some of my step-up seats, but it is not as bulky as sort of your stock ultra limited or some of the other Harley Davidson seats. And from a comfort perspective, huge, huge improvement over those stock seats. So guys, with that, I want to leave you with this thought. Life is short. Get out and ride the bike. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye now.